So, Mega Evolution. It's fun, it's hype, it's definitely the most interesting of the generational niche battle mechanics, such as Dynamax and Terrestrialization. But, I do have a few problems with Megaforms in general. It works well for Pokemon who evolve twice, such as Salamence and Pidgeot, who otherwise would not have an evolved form, or Pokemon who are strong on their own, such as Gyarados and Sableye. However, I feel Megaforms can lock down certain Pokemon from being corrected in the future. Let's start by looking at the Generations 2 and 4. In Gen 2, Pokemon like Seadra and Onix, who are lacking, with Seadra lacking the Dragon typing, or had baggage like Onix's case, he was designed to be physically weak, as the first gym fight. And in Gen 4, we have the same situation with Nosepass, who was originally a bulky first boss fight, but late game, Nosepass was nearly unusable and lacking as a compass he should have been the steel type. But these Pokemon received evolutions in their subsequent generations. These Pokemon were effectively saved by having true evolutions. Gen 4 gave us lots of evolutions, repairing numerous unused and forgotten Pokemon. Some of these were misses. Nobody likes Ambipom. But most of them were welcome upgrades to forgotten Pokemon. And with the item Eviolite, if you think your boy was massacred, you can still get an improvement for an unevolved Pokemon. Just look at the history of Dusclops. However, the story does not end there. Generation 5 came out, and it only featured Pokemon that were originally introduced in Gen 5, and thus there were no new forms of prior Pokemon. Even though Alomomola, in theory, could have been an evolution to Luvedisc, but don't think about that. Gen 6 continues this, where the only new actual evolution was for Eevee, and that was to incorporate and show off the new fairy typing. This is the generation that introduced Mega Evolution. This was an exciting new concept, allowing Pokemon such as Alakazam and Gengar to evolve, who otherwise would be impossible to have evolutions. This also gave a much welcomed accessibility to weaker Pokemon like Beedrill and Pidgeot, who were fully evolved. But this is where we reach a problem. Rarely used weak Pokemon such as Mawile and Manectric got Mega Evolutions. This is a good thing when Megas are included as a battle gimmick. We'll get back to this. Megas continued in Gen 7. However, still no actual evolutions for old Pokemon. Gen 7 introduced regional variants, and I love regional variant forms for many reasons that I won't get into in this video. But in terms of design, they are a best of both worlds, where classic Pokemon remain unchanged in mint condition, and still get their rework. If you don't like Alolan Exeggutor, don't worry, classic Exeggutor is still in its original packaging. Gen 8 gave us even more regional variants, but this time the variants came with evolutions. This means Farfetch'd and Qwilfish, for example, got new evolutions, but without actually getting anything to improve them. Classic Coughing was able to evolve into its regional variant, but Qwilfish, no, it has been replaced. Generation 9, however, does give classic Pokemon actual true evolutions. Bisharp and Giraffrake, for example, and it's honestly a breath of fresh air for these stagnant Pokemon. Everyone likes Giraffrake, but nobody used it for being so weak. And then there's Paradox forms, which we won't go much into, but they're kind of like honorary evolutions, beefing up classic designs, rather than replacements in Qwilfish's case. This brings us back to why Megas can be a net loss for certain Pokemon. So far, we have not seen a basic or middle stage Mega Evolve, although Mega Dragonair would be interesting. We see Gigantamax basic Pokemon like Meowth, and Gigantamax only happens for 3 turns. So a Mega basic Pokemon is totally possible. So until we see that, the weak but beloved Pokemon like Mawile are effectively shut down from receiving proper evolutions. In generations that don't feature Mega Evolution, the best Mawile can hope for is to be replaced, like Farfetch'd and Qwilfish, or to get a powerful new form, like how Misdreavus and Delibird did, which would feel like an honorary evolution. Sure, Mawile and Manectric work very well with Mega Evolution by utilizing the Intimidate ability. And Altaria, for example, has a choice of keeping its flying typing or turning into a fairy. But without Megas, these Pokemon are left in the dust, not even benefiting from Eviolite. Now, imagine for a second your favorite Pokemon, Onix, never got a true evolution, but then, in Gen 6, he's given a Mega Evolution. That's a Steel Ground type, and it looks like this. From this point on in the franchise, Onix will revert back to its non-Steel type and retain the baggage of being a weak for storyline purposes. And, if the pattern continues, we would almost certainly never receive a true evolution. I mean, imagine how much less hype it would be if Annihilate or King Gambit were Megas. First, nobody would use them, because you can only use one Mega, and Kangaskhan is clearly the best. But secondly, you know these new forms of old Pokemon are temporary and fleeting. Mega Evolution? More like Mega Evanescent. So, do you see the problem with giving Mega Evolutions to traditionally weak Pokemon that aren't Stage 2s like Beedrill? Until we see a Mega Dragonair or a Mega Pikachu, Pokemon that have the potential to receive true evolutions ought to not Mega Evolve. Mega Manectric, Mega Medicham, and even this thing could have been real Pokemon that you see in future generations. Megas should be reserved for overpowering completed Pokemon like Beedrill, Metagross, Heracross, or Lucario, which have little potential for true evolutions, or would be overpowered with Eviolite, like Slowbro. Slowbro with Eviolite would be a disaster. Let's look at the case example and prediction of a classic Pokemon that has never received a form, is weak but has potential, and is lacking something. Golduck hints at being a psychic type, but in Gen 1, we have Starmie and Slowbro. So, when there was only Generation 1, a pure water Golduck is okay for balancing purposes. But now, Golduck deserves a rework, especially since it has the potential with good abilities and a decent move pool. Golduck deserves a true evolution, not a Mega Evolution. Now, hear me out. If they gave a Mega to the basic form Psyduck, this would be much more preferable. This would be an offshoot of the evolutionary stage and would not block Golduck from permanent redemption in service of a generationally contained gimmick. I mean, they did it with Gigantamax forms Eevee, Meowth, and Pikachu. Plus, everyone likes cute Psyduck better than boring Golduck. I am concerned about Mega Evolutions overriding the future potential of some of our favorite classic Pokemon. We need the precedent of Megas being applied to not fully evolved stages. Or we need to see hard evolution to a Pokemon like Mawile despite having a Mega. Until this precedent exists, I will be worried about the selection of new Mega candidates. Of course, this is my hot take. Please leave your own in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.